The Mueller investigation. We will fight to make that public.
We're going to insist on it becoming public.
This is a big report. The public needs to see it.
I've been saying it for a while. I mean, just put it all out there. Put it all out there. How about don't redact anything?
Demands to release Special Counsel Robert Mueller's full report on Russian election interference are the beginning of the coming fight to release underlying evidence associated with the investigation. Unlike the Iran-Contra and Whitewater investigations, Mueller is not an independent counsel and therefore is not required to file a full report on his findings to Congress. Unlike the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server at the State Department, Mueller has not provided the public with updates on his investigation, except in court filings. And while previous prosecutors and special counsels provided public statements at the conclusion of their work, it was often after any criminal proceedings were closed.
I can't give you answers on what we know and don't know other than what's charged in the indictment. It's not because I enjoy being in that position, it's because the law is that way.
Do these indictments prove the Iraq War was unjustified?
The indictment will not seek to prove that the war was justified or unjustified.
Of course.
But there are a number of legal and political hurdles that could partially or fully limit the release of Mueller's confidential report and the investigatory documents associated with it.
Everyone's assuming that it's going to be a long, detailed report that reveals all kinds of information that's not already in the public domain. There's all kinds of reasons why, in this case, Mueller might choose not to provide a lot of specific details, in part because a lot of these investigations appear to be ongoing.
The general DOJ policy is you don't release damaging information about somebody if you're not going to charge them. You speak through your indictments or you don't speak at all.
Grand jury secrecy prohibit the discussion of matters relating to what's actually occurring in the grand jury. Just because documents have been presented to the grand jury or just because witnesses have been presented to the grand jury does not protect those documents or those witnesses.
We could have an assertion of executive privilege. A lot of the information is not going to be subject to executive privilege because executive privilege is about candid communications with the president. We could have concerns about national security.
Two other possibilities, depending on the facts, are attorney-client privilege and Fifth Amendment.
The final thing would be if the president asked to classify the entire document, and there's not much of a standard for courts to overturn that determination.
What if they simply say, no, we're not going to release the underlying evidence? What options do you have?
Well, we will obviously subpoena the report. We will bring Bob Mueller in to testify before Congress. We will take it to court if necessary.
We do want the underlying evidence. The American people are entitled to know it. We will subpoena. We will do whatever we have to do.
Congress has wide-ranging power to conduct oversight. But at some point it becomes a negotiation because the executive still has some power as well to resist answering certain types of questions.
There's a history and a record in certain high-profile investigations where there's a national interest to breaking what is standard practice.
Because there is so much public interest, I think it would be awfully difficult for Barr and DOJ to try to adhere real rigidly and say basically we're not going to disclose anything.
But Congress could ultimately receive little information on Mueller's probe that is not already publicly known, at least at first.
I don't know what at the end of the day, what will be releasable.
If we aren't prepared to prove our case beyond a reasonable doubt in court, then we have no business making allegations against American citizens.
You know the nice part? There was no collusion. There was no obstruction, there was no anything. If it's an honest report, it will say that. If it's not an honest report, it won't.
Hi, I'm Elahe Azadi, pop culture writer at The Washington Post. Real journalism matters. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get our latest reporting and analysis.